These are protective things, and they're like little solar collectors full of blood, very rich blood supply. So when they sit in the sun in our winter, it's so cold, but you see them all basking in June, July. It's cold for them. Blood, they're forcing blood out into the edges of these to take the heat back in to try and warm the body up. So you'll see when they bask, warming and cooling is a big deal for crocs. So when they bask in the morning, if the sun's out here, a croc might have its head open like that, so the sun shines right on the top of the head there, that square part at the back, the cranial platform. That warms the brain up. The first thing a cold crocodile's got to do is to warm the brain, and so it'll often open its head so the sun shines straight onto that, because once the brain warms, all the senses start to work right, and then it'll often turn it around or even face the sun like this, so the sun's coming down this way and not warming that up while it's warming the body. So the body and the head heat up at different rates. Crocodiles will die when they're out of the water for too long. And so that they can stay out for a little while, but if you really want to frighten a crocodile, keep him out in the dry for a long time. Now, when the crocodiles in the dry season here, in some areas, the crocodiles get caught on a floodplain and the mud dries up and they bury into the mud and they estivate. But the mud around them probably stops them really drying out. For most crocs, they've got to be careful of really drying out. So, yeah, usually they won't, you know, they couldn't sort of walk down the highway indefinitely to Alice Springs or something. They wouldn't make it. So these things will have little breaths, but if they've really been struggling and they're trying to pay back the oxygen they need, they take these massive deep breaths, you know, so it's quite flexible. Yeah, you can see it here. It's just very soft. So this is the kidney that's locked right into the back on either side of the crocodile. So what you got here coming down the middle is the rectum, the end of all the intestines in the stomach, and it goes into the cloaca, and you've got the kidneys here, the testes here, they enter into the cloaca, and you've got the kidneys that excrete into the cloaca. But crocs aren't like cattle. They don't put out masses of waste. You know, like
where's your saw?
When a croc decides to let something go, it's much more like squeezing a toothpaste tube than you know. Just everything gets used. They have a very high food conversion rate. Okay, so here, if you look at just the fat that's laid down around that duodenum, you know, like the crocs don't waste anything. Whatever they get when they can eat it, they eat it. And then they just store all the fat for the time of plenty. And just remember that animal could go at least 6 months without eating at all. It would lose a bit of weight, look a little bit thinner, but it would survive. So for an animal that lives in wet season, dry season, that's likely to get caught somewhere, that's why crocodiles are such excellent survivors. Cut the stomach out, right, and then that leads into the intestine. It's exactly the same, broken into the same parts of the intestine that's in humans. You know, I don't know whether they get ulcers in their duodenum, but it's the same, and there's a lot of fat put down in the mesentery, which I suspect is the same with humans. Someone here will probably know.
And a lot of blood vessels too. So as the food is digested, the blood vessels take that blood, come and absorb all the nutrients, and they'll take it to, you can see these darker blood vessels, which become little arteries, and take it to the liver. And that's why the liver has got its colour. So it absorbs all the nutrients in the food, takes it to the liver, and then it takes it to the heart from there once it's processed.